Welcome on board one of the longest flights in the world, non-stop from Australia to Texas. Join us for this 15-hour flight as we wine and dine, get some shut-eye, and ultimately answer the question, what do you do for 15 hours in the air?
Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. Right now, we're in Sydney, but it's time to head back to the United States. We're traveling with Qantas on one of the world's longest flights. Let's go to the airport and get checked in.
Here's the plan. We'll leave Sydney at 5:40 in the afternoon on Friday, fly for 15 hours before landing 2 hours earlier at 3:45 on the same afternoon in Dallas. The list of longest flights in the world constantly changes as airlines try new routes and technology improves. In this World's Longest Flight series of videos, we'll highlight many of them. Today's from here in Sydney up to Dallas currently ranks 10th. For now, we have 8,578 miles to cover, so let's get to the airport. Travel is back. We faced long lines and huge crowds at Sydney's airport.
Check-in took about 30 minutes, so that's a reason to get here early if you're traveling. Look, most travel-related stress is because you don't give yourself enough time, so I recommend getting here early. Anyway, we got to get through security and check out the lounge.
Security took another 20 minutes, so by this point, we were ready to head
to the lounge.
Let's make it happen.
As a reminder, please never mistake criticism on this channel for a lack of gratitude. We can't believe how fortunate we are to get to travel at all, let alone in business class like on today's flight. However, we do want to set expectations for you, and part of that is sharing that despite the size of the Qantas Business Class lounge, there still were not enough seats. We struggled to find a place to sit. A cold buffet along with hot options were available, as well as plenty of soft drinks and even Australian wine. Cheers!
Is that wine glass for ants?
We got some work done before heading out of the lounge.
I'm so excited about this flight. I've flown on this business class seat before, actually on the third longest flight in the world from Perth to London. So I'm excited to be back on it. I believe it's the best designed business class seat in the sky, bar none.
On the way to our gate, we spotted this Airbus A380 bound for Singapore and then on to London. This flight is nicknamed the Kangaroo Route, but Qantas is working on Project Sunrise to replace this with non-stop flights from Sydney all the way to London, even New York.
They're boarding up for London just behind us. You want to do the Kangaroo Route sometime?
Someday, and hopefully on the A380.
Only way to do it.
You can also count on seeing us on one of the Project Sunrise routes as soon as they're commercially available.
We're facing a little bit of a delay as the cleaners finish their work on the plane. Hopefully that happens quickly because we've got a connection in Dallas we really want to make. We've got 3 hours, should be fine, and I'm sure we'll make up some time in flight.
At first, a Qantas flight to Dallas may seem strange, but it makes a ton of sense when you consider Dallas as a power hub for American Airlines, a fellow member of the One World Alliance. So, a Qantas flight to DFW opens up tons of destinations, like our home in Greensboro, North Carolina, as one-stop options from Australia. But only if we can make this connection.
Well, it turns out the cleaners had not actually even started yet, so they've just arrived, and hopefully it won't take too long to clean the airplane and we can board up and head on to Dallas.
Meanwhile, the Kangaroo Route was starting its first bounce over to Singapore. Watching the A380 is second only to traveling on board one. Have you flown on an A380? If so, where'd you go? What'd you think? With the A380 out of the way, we could see our airplane, sort of.
We are on an airplane with a special livery today. This is Yeah, I'm Dreaming, so I'm really excited about that.
Here's a much better look at it. It's a stunning livery showcasing the work of a late Indigenous artist. This aircraft has nearly 5,000 dots on it. We finally began boarding just after 6 p.m. We were supposed to start just before 5. Unfortunately, this extra hour delay caused a lot of missed connections in Dallas. Thankfully, though, we were going to be just fine. But let's check out this bird. As I mentioned, Qantas has what I believe to be the best designed business class seat in the sky. I'd booked seat 7K, an odd-numbered window seat that's closer to the windows than the even-numbered ones, offer an additional layer of privacy from the aisle. Suzanne opted to sit across from me in 7F. The seats were all covered with bedding for passengers who might want to go straight to sleep after departure. I love this seat the most for its readily available storage. I had plenty of space for all my things, including that massive water bottle I brought with me. I put my backpack in the overhead bin and got comfortable.
Welcome to my home for the next 15 hours.
There are reading lights and overhead air vents, a huge screen, and massive windows. Flight attendants provided a pre-departure beverage service. You'll also find a card to fill out your breakfast choices.
Picking breakfast, right as I've boarded is kind of tough. I don't know what I'm going to want tomorrow, today, tomorrow, whenever it is. I don't know.
Flight attendants came around to offer pajamas, and I'm not sure anyone was quite as excited as Suzanne, though.
On behalf of all the crew, we'd like to add our welcome aboard this Qantas Service 7 across to Dallas. I do apologise for the late departure of the aircraft. Unfortunately, catering and cabin cleaning took a little bit longer than anticipated. The flight plan arrival time is 3:45 p.m. Friday afternoon into Dallas, but we're probably going to be up to 1 hour late. And once again, thanks for joining us.
Of course, the seat offers everything you'd expect from a business class seat I'm calling the best in the sky. The amenity kits are themed around various decades that Qantas has operated. This is from the 1980s and has plenty of what you'd expect for a long-haul flight. In-flight entertainment options were prolific, and I had no problem finding plenty to watch. But in a twist I did not expect, especially coming off of an Air New Zealand experience where everyone on board had free access to Wi-Fi, none was available at Qantas at all, not even paid Wi-Fi. The in-flight map was always available at the bottom of the screen, a feature too many airlines, surprisingly, make difficult to access. Not Qantas, though. We always knew where we were and how much time we had left. There's also a remote and mirror hidden in the armrest. As usual, though, the best in-flight entertainment was out the window, at least for the first hour. After dinner, flight attendants dimmed the windows so we could sleep more easily. For a closer look at the menu from this flight and many others, check out greenergrass.com/menus. Now, this was an impressive one, and it'd be hard to walk away hungry after a Qantas meal. Service began an hour after departure with a drink and warm nuts. I had a gin and tonic, but Suzanne tried the signature drink, the Qantas Sky Spritz. That was followed by bread and a choice of a starter. We both chose the chicken salad. For our main course, though, we went two different ways. Suzanne picked the barramundi, the fish, which she chose because it sounded light. It tasted pretty fishy. I had the beef, which was a little dry but extremely flavorful. For dessert, Suzanne chose the fruit, and I had the ice cream.
3 hours into the flight. So far, so good. Dinner's done. I'd call that pretty typical business class food. Nothing wrong with it. Very delicious. Now it's time for bed. So I'm going to change into my pajamas and call it a night.
Just trying to keep my clothes crease-free.
There simply are not enough lavatories in this cabin. It's taken me an hour to get a slot to change into my pajamas, and I feel guilty about taking this much time in here, so I'm going to pop out to make room for the next person.
With my costume change behind me, we converted our seats into bed mode. It's easy for passengers to do this for themselves, but I was lucky enough to have a passing flight attendant offer to help. It was done in no time.
We should have a good night's sleep. See you in the morning. 9.5 hours in, I think it's time to wake up and have a mid-flight meal.
Since most of the passengers, including Suzanne, were still sleeping over the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I decided to quietly walk through the cabin. Economy class in Qantas Dreamliners is arranged in a 3-3-3 configuration. There's also a premium economy cabin with a 2-3-2 configuration. In addition to the business class cabin where Suzanne and I were sitting, there's also this smaller mini cabin with 12 seats in it. Flight attendants laid out snacks available throughout the flight. I made my way back to my seat and asked a flight attendant what of the mid-flight snack options would be the best. He said I had to go with a fried chicken, so that's what I did.
YouTube is such an amazing tool. You're able to see so much of what happens on trips like this. What you might miss is the degree of heat from the sun that translates in through this 787 window. I mean, this thing is hot as the sun beats down on the window.
That's another reason I don't like these windows. Also, the flight attendants locked them for most of our flight, which was no doubt appreciated by everyone sleeping on board. The fried chicken arrived, and it was good. I haven't seen this as a mid-flight option from other airlines, and I'd say this was my favorite thing I ate the whole flight. For the next few hours, I watched some in-flight entertainment as we made our way closer to Dallas. Breakfast arrived about 2 hours before landing. I had the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Suzanne went for the pea fritters. On the one hand, serving breakfast as everyone woke up made sense. On the other hand, it was dinner time in Dallas. Choosing meals for these ultra-long-haul flights with upside-down departure and arrival times will continue to challenge route planners. Oh well, both meals were tasty and substantial. As the cabin became brighter and brighter, and touchdown nearer and nearer, it seems like it's time to offer a JebScore for this experience. We'll look at the lounge, the seat, the food, the in-flight entertainment, and the service, in order to offer a completely subjective score to each one. First, the lounge was large, but the lack of seating was a real downer. If you can't sit down, how can you really enjoy the experience? 3 stars here. The seat is my favorite business class seat, and that earns 5 stars. The food was, as I've said, pretty typical. Nothing too special here. When I flew with Qantas from Perth to London, they offered a special menu designed carefully for the ultra-long-haul nature of that trip. Hopefully they'll get back to that plan. This earns the airline 3 stars. The in-flight entertainment had plenty of choices, sure. And as nice as it was to completely disconnect for 15 hours, not offering Wi-Fi is behind the times. That takes the IFE score to 3 stars. The service was great. Our purser was fantastic and really made the service aspect a show in the best sense of the word. Every interaction was polished and enthusiastic. I really liked this Qantas crew, and they made me want to fly with the airline again very soon. 5 stars to them. We touched down in Dallas exactly 14 hours, 45 minutes, and 12 seconds after we left Sydney. So that leaves Qantas Flight 007 from Sydney to Dallas on this Dreamliner with 19 out of a possible 25 stars.
Between now and the next time, see you in the sky.
Put it in the bloopers. It'll be a blooper. It's funny.
Good day, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from Greensboro, North. Some of you may wonder why I've come to Australia, and the answer is to see my friend Trevor.
Hey, Jet Setters.
That's my kryptonite. I love Joe and the Juice. Unfortunately, they're closed right now. Womp womp.